Welcome back to another edition of the Saturday to Sunday Football Podcast. I am Paul Perdichizzi, and thank you for joining me. As always, our TierBuster Series continues this afternoon as we turn the page to the 2026 NFL Draft running backs. If you missed the kickoff of the TierBuster Series, last week, we started with the quarterbacks. Today's the running backs, and then we will conclude over the next 7 or 8 days with the wide receivers and the tight ends. These tiers are exclusive to Saturday to Sunday. It is the only tiers out there that combines our film studies, traits, characteristics, combines NFL draft projection, where we think they're going to get taken in the NFL draft, and then also ties it into the Dynasty Fantasy rookie draft projection as well. We have blended all three of these together to make these exclusive tiers for Saturday to Sunday. You can find them in the premium notebooks, but I'll talk more about that at the end of the show. So if you missed last week, we did the quarterbacks. Today, I'll talk through my 5 tiers at the running back position, what constitutes and what makes up each of those 5 tiers, talk about what prospects are in each of those tiers, talk about those prospects, talk about who could maybe be a tier jumper as I watch some more film in the next month here of the pre-draft process. We are fastly approaching the NFL draft. It is a little bit earlier this year, so it is March 30th when I'm recording this. NFL draft kicks off on April 23rd. We are going to have wire-to-wire coverage leading up to there. The TierBuster shows, other podcasts, then the week of the podcast, final draft rankings, final tiers, my guy episodes for offense, defense, projecting the draft, everything setting you up, and then wire-to-wire coverage the weekend of the NFL draft as well. Recap shows after every single night of the NFL draft. By Sunday, a full Dynasty rookie rankings episode, get you ready for your rookie drafts. Then we will break down by teams the draft classes as well in the weeks after the NFL draft. So let's get right into it. Let's first talk about what constitutes tier 1 at the running back position. So tier 1 at the running back position is a potential round 1 NFL draft selection. We think they are a top 6 dynasty rookie pick, most likely top 3 or 4 in most scenarios. We know how valuable running backs are in dynasty rookie drafts. Day 1 starters, many traits are above average, with at least one being rare to elite. These players can and should be the focal point of the run game, with the ability to contribute in the passing game as well. It is hard to be a tier 1 running back. If you go back over the years, there's some draft classes that do not have any tier 1 running backs. Last year we had Ashton Genty. He was the only one. This year it's another one running back tier, and that tier is exclusively Jeremiah Love out of Notre Dame. To me, Jeremiah Love is a better prospect than Ashton Genty. He is on a level of Saquon Barkley, Bijan Robinson. To me, that is the type of prospects. The size, the frame, the athleticism, the burst, the quickness, the big playability, but he could hold up and take a large workload because he's got the size, he's got the frame. He can win on the inside, he can win on the outside. He's a prolific receiver out of the backfield. So he is an offensive weapon that changes the dynamic of your game. He can take it to the house on any play, whether it's a run or a pass that he's involved in. And yes, we know running backs have been devalued over the years, but when you look about Jeremiah Love, he is an X factor. He's a difference maker. And he's not getting out of, I would say, the top 7 of the NFL draft. I think 7 is his absolute floor. I think he could start at the Titans at 4, Giants at 5, Commanders at 7. I think he's going to be one of those 3 teams we already talked about on the free agency recap show. I don't think the Saints and the Chiefs go out there and make that investment in free agency that they did to fortify their backfields if they thought Jeremiah Love had a real chance to make it to them at picks 8 and 9 in the top 10 of the 2026 NFL draft. So Love is the premier prospect at the running back position. To me, it is a massive gap from RB1 to the next RBs in this class, from tier 1 to tier 2. Jeremiah Love is going to be the first pick in every single dynasty rookie draft. He's going to be taking potentially 50 or 60 picks ahead of every other running back in this draft class. There is no one on his level. The combination of skill sets, the athletic traits, the understanding of the game, the receiving capabilities makes him such a high-end prospect in a class where a lot of the premier prospects are not of positions of value that are very strong. We have a big-time safety, big-time linebackers, questionable things in terms of the offensive line prospects. Do they profile more as guards than tackles? I think that we only have one quarterback. That all pushes Jeremiah Love, where I don't think there's going to be as much pushback if a team like the Titans at 4 or the Giants at 5 or the Commanders at 7 make an investment in Jeremiah Love. I don't think it's going to be as much pushback as last year when the Raiders took Ashton Genty. I think a lot of people thought they weren't set up for him, and there was other positions of higher positional importance that would have been more valuable to them, especially offensive linemen. I don't think you're going to hear that same narrative around Jeremiah Love when he's selected 4, 5, or 7 in the 2026 NFL draft. I just think the way the draft class sets up, high level of a prospect he is. Yes, I know the money he comes in making like the 7th or 8th most running back of any running back in the NFL. I get all that, but he's going to change your offense. And there's going to be teams that whether he helps out Cam Ward, whether he helps out Jackson Dart, whether he helps out in terms of the Commanders' offense and helps out Jaden Daniels, he's going to add a different element to that team, and I think he's going to end up making the quarterback better, and I think that's what they would want. He's the premier offensive prospect, so I think you can make the case that Jeremiah Love's going to do more for Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, and Jaden Daniels than Carnell Tate would. There's Carnell Tate's every single draft class. Most draft classes, there's receivers that even profile is better than Carnell Tate. There is not every draft class where you have a Jeremiah Love. That's just the reality of the situation. So I think that is going to put him in the top 7 of the 2026 NFL draft. If we take this to the second tier, remember these tiers are exclusive to Saturday, Sunday. They combine film studies, NFL draft projection, NFL rookie draft projection, all into one. Our second tier at the running back position. This is round 2 to early round 3 NFL draft selections. We think they are mid-round 1 to late round 1 or early round 2 in dynasty rookie picks. Probably not late round 2, probably not early round 2 in this year's draft class with the lack of running backs, but in general, more general drafts where it's some more quarterbacks and stuff. We think they are a lead running back in a committee. Several traits are above average to very good. These players can and should contribute immediately to the running game and have the capacity to contribute and be a factor in the passing game. There are or maybe some concerns about their ability to be a 3-down back. There's so little backs in the NFL now that are considered 3-down backs. So when you get away from those guys who go in the top 10 or first round, all of those guys are going to be a part of some type of committee. And I think that's where a lot of these guys coming into the league profile in terms of if they could be a good player, but still going to be a part of a committee, not going to be a true 3-down guy, not going to get the workload, probably begin to get maybe, even if they're the starter, 15, 16 touches and someone else is going to get another 8 to 10 aspect of it. So my tier 2, what prospects are in my tier 2 at the running back position? It is 2 names. 1, it is Jadarian Price out of Notre Dame, Jeremiah Love's teammate, and 2, it is Mike Washington out of Arkansas. Let's start with Jadarian Price. Now, obviously, he did not put up the gaudy statistical production at college because he was playing behind an all-world prospect in Jeremiah Love. But what does Jadarian Price bring to the table? 1, he's a guy. While he doesn't have blazing speed, he's a big play waiting to happen. We saw that in college, whether it was in the backfield, whether it was in kick return game. He doesn't have this. I think he's like 4.52 speed, but he makes big plays. He's got excellent vision, excellent natural run understanding, run concepts, sees it really good, has good patience, quick feet, understands when to run through a guy, make a person miss. The overall understanding of the running back position, I think Jadarian Price is really high end at that. So you combine that with solid physical traits. I don't think any of his physical traits are what you would say is fantastic or elite or special, but he's got enough speed. He's got enough size. But the vision, the patience, the short area quickness and footwork, all really high-end stuff. He can run inside. He can run outside. He's been a big-time kick returner. The question that comes up with him is how does he handle? Can he play on third downs? Can he play? Listen, they had Jeremiah Love. He was not going to do much. Jeremiah Love is an elite pass-catching running back. So Jadarian Price just was not asked to do it. I think he could be a functional pass-catching running back. I remember having these questions about Kenneth Walker when he came out, and then Kenneth Walker shown that he was more than capable of being a functional to serviceable pass catcher. I think Jadarian Price could be that. I understand right now it's a question mark or a concern, but I think Jadarian Price could be a functional pass-catching back. I think he's got the demeanor and the size frame combination to be a solid in pass protection and then also be a functional pass catcher. So I think there's more meat on the bone there. I think he's going to put up better stats, obviously, in the NFL. I think he could be the lead of a committee backfield, whether you put him in Seattle with Zach Charbonnet, whether you put him on another team. I think that's where he profiles. And then after him is Mike Washington out of Arkansas. Now, some people might say Mike Washington prior to the combine. I already liked Mike Washington before the combine. I thought he was already a good athlete. I knew he was going to test out. I like the size, frame, quickness, burst, acceleration. He's straight line speed. This is not a guy who's going to make you, this guy is not a guy who's going to have sharp cuts. He's not a guy you want to get to the outside unless it's just one cut and get upfield. He's not going to make people miss in a phone booth, but he's tough. He's physical. He's a functional pass catcher. He's got that burst, speed, home run ability. If he hits it and goes, I think he's better suited for a gap type run, inside gap. You can do some outside stuff. I don't think you want him stopping and going. I think the vision and the patience are definitely areas of development that are needed. So I think if you put him in his own scheme, you are not going to get the best out of Mike Washington. So I do think Mike Washington is one of those guys. I think him and Jadarian Price, I think you're going to go pretty similar to each other. I think Jadarian Price could come off the board as early as, I know there's been some buzz late round 1. I don't see it. I think Jadarian Price could be more of like pick 50 to the beginning of round 3. I think Mike Washington is another guy somewhere in that pick 50 to the early portion of round 3. I'd be surprised if their draft stock was too different. I think it's going to be kind of similar in them, but they are different players. Jadarian Price, the vision, the patience, the run instincts. Mike Washington, the size, the frame, the athleticism, straight line speed, athleticism, burst. That's how Mike Washington wins. Jadarian Price wins a very different style. I think they both could be functional pass catchers at the next level, both be a part of a committee on Sundays as a part of a backfield. I think you would want a different type of complement to each of them, but I do think both of them could be a lead guy in a backfield at the next level. If we take this to my third tier is mid to late round 3 through round 4 NFL draft selections. So we are talking like from like pick 85-ish, pick 80, 85, all the way through like pick 130. So we're talking about a wide range of prospects here, but all it takes is one team to be interested in a guy, and maybe he goes late round 3 or mid round 3. And then there's going to be a lot of running backs who go in round 4. I think this is the sweet spot of this NFL draft when it comes to running back prospects. So if you miss out on Jeremiah Love, if you have other needs in mind where you don't want to make an investment in the middle of second round on Jadarian Price or Mike Washington, I think this is where you're going to see a lot of teams. I don't know if any of them are going to go round 3. I think 1 or 2 could sneak in. But I think a lot of the guys in my tier here are going to be round 4 picks. I think you're going to see 5, 6, 7 running backs potentially go off the board from the end of round 3 through the end of round 4. And I think a bunch of these guys are going to come from this tier. I'm sure some of them will fall to round 5, but I think they should be in this tier. In terms of dynasty rookie drafts, this is a round 2 to early round 3 dynasty rookie pick. Think about last year where Cam Scatterbo went in most rookie drafts. Think about where Bashal Tuden went last year in most rookie drafts. I think that is where you're going to see a bunch of these running backs. I think landing spot will obviously move the needle and help rank these guys within this tier at the next level. But that's what we think. I think they're a committee running back with upside. Some traits are above average. These players offer a competitive advantage as runners or as pass catchers. That's key. Competitive advantage as either a runner or as a pass catcher. And I will make note of that as I'm going through these prospects. These players could emerge into even bigger roles of the backfield by the end of year 1 or year 2. I think Bashal Tuden is the perfect example. You saw him starting to work into that backfield as the year went on. I think this year he's going to be in tandem with Chris Rodriguez. I think his talent is going to outshine Chris Rodriguez in Jacksonville, and he's going to see even a bigger load of the backfield work this year. I think that's what the case will be with some of these running backs. My tier here is large. A lot of guys I think fill into this bucket, so I'm going to run through them all. Do I think all of them are going to go by the end of round 4? No. Some of these guys will be sitting there to start round 5. I have Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska, Jonah Coleman out of Washington, Nick Singleton out of Penn State, Damon Claiborne out of Wake Forest, Adam Randall out of Clemson, Seth McGowan out of Kentucky, Katron Allen out of Penn State, and Jam Miller out of Alabama. I think 1 or 2 have a shot to sneak in the top 100. I think another 5 or so will go in round 3. And then I think a couple from this group will probably slide to the early portion of round 5. But I do think it's hard to decipher right now because there are very different style prospects. If we go down the list, Emmett Johnson, very productive year. I like his short area quickness, his ability to make people miss. I think he's got good agility, good lateral quickness, some elusiveness at his size. He didn't test out well at the combine. I still think the vision, the patience, the run instincts, the footwork, I am very intrigued with Emmett Johnson. If I was going to take one or two more guys in the top 100, Emmett Johnson would be that guy. I think he's probably going to come off the board early round 4, but I like Emmett Johnson's game. He was a really productive pass catcher. I think he could be a guy that plays on all 3 downs. Jonah Coleman, you've heard the Maurice Jones-Drew comps for the whole year plus. Small, compact, tough, physical, can pound people, functional pass catcher, never testing. I don't think the testing numbers would have been very kind to him, but I still just think he's a good running back who can keep the chains moving and be a part of a committee at the next level. If you told me he goes somewhere at the end of round 3, I would not be surprised. I think round 4 should be the sweet spot for Jonah Coleman as well. Tough, physical, leg drive, contact balance. Those are the calling cards of Jonah Coleman. So those first 2 guys there, neither of them tested out well. Emmett Johnson tested out worse than we thought at the combine. Jonah Coleman never tested out. But they are both guys that I think could be parts of a committee. Those are the guys that I think are going to be the 4th and 5th running backs off the board. Those would be the guys that I would have rounding out my top 5. I think after that, the rest of these guys in this tier that I talked about can come off the board in any order. Not only any order, the rankings between them are going to vary significantly based on what you are looking for and what you need. Nicholas Singleton came to Penn State as a highly regarded recruit, had a fantastic freshman year. Most people thought he was ticketed for round 1 of an NFL draft when he declared. Big time speed, big time burst, acceleration, home run ability, really good pass catcher. But the inconsistencies throughout his college career is what still has him as more of an early day 3 prospect. The vision, the patience, the run instincts, he still doesn't see it. So I don't think you can do much with him in terms of his own offense. I just think he's going to struggle there. Could you maybe ask him to do one cut and go? Yeah, but I think he needs to be more of a gap scheme and going north-south. Because even though he's a big-time athlete, it is not lateral quickness. It is not agility. It is straight line, burst, speed, acceleration, is using Nicholas Singleton's calling cards. So he's a guy who I think is going to start out and profile more as a change of pace, receiving back, and then does he get an opportunity to emerge and show he can handle a bigger workload at the next level? I think that is his ticket at the next level. Damon Claiborne, I'm going to group him in right there with Nicholas Singleton. Big-time athlete. He tested really well at the combine. The thing with Claiborne is he had a great year. You just don't see a lot in terms of the pass catching. He's got average skills in pass catching. You wish he was a dynamic, prolific receiving back. And if he was, combined with the athleticism, then I think you're talking about a guy who would really intrigue teams. Now, I'm still intrigued with him because I like to think that maybe he can do a little bit more and show a little bit more in terms of the passing game. But I think his quickness, his ability to make people miss, change of direction, elusiveness, cutting ability, I think he's a complement to a power back. If the Giants didn't have Tyrone Tracy on the roster, a guy like Damon Claiborne paired with Cam Scatabo, I think would be a very interesting combination, especially since Scatabo's a really good receiver. So you wouldn't even need Claiborne to do that. But change of pace, win different ways. Scatabo's going to be physical, power, leg drive, strength, all that stuff, where Claiborne is going to make people miss, big playability. So I like Claiborne a lot as a rusher. I do wonder how a team's going to view him because he's not a big-time receiving weapon. He's going to struggle in pass protection. So does he get on the field that much? If those are areas of concern at his size, it might just be limited to 6 or 7 touches. And then is he not a 4th-round pick? Does he go later in the draft? But I'm intrigued by Claiborne, especially in this draft class. I have him as my 7th running back in the draft class. Adam Randall. Rare size for a running back, former wide receiver, converted to running back. So there's still some nuance and development. That sometimes can help a player, though, because teams look at it and say he's raw, he's still developing there, while other people like Nicholas Singleton have had years to show more growth there and haven't. So it's almost like you don't know that Randall can't do it yet because he hasn't been doing it as long. So that almost helps his draft stock a little bit because it might not be looked at as such a negative because people might still think he's new to the position. He's still learning. But we've seen guys. You look at Adam Randall, you think kind of like an Antonio Gibson-like player. And I think that's how he's going to be used. We saw Tyrone Tracy make the conversion. I think Tracy was a better receiving weapon than Randall was, but Randall was a former wide receiver, converted to running back, rare size and frame at the running back position. I think he's going to go somewhere in round 4 because people are going to be intrigued with him. Still new to the position. Probably think there's more development there. Former wide receiver, so there's pass catching skills there as well. So Randall's a really intriguing prospect that I think is going to come off the board somewhere around 4. Seth McGowan, Katron Allen, they're the next two I want to talk about. Seth McGowan is an older prospect, had a little bit of a checkered past that he's openly talked about. Seems like he has turned the corner in that regard, but he's a 25-year-old prospect, but he tested out unbelievable at the combine. For a physical power back to come in and test like that was really intriguing. Where on the flip side, Katron Allen, another tough physical inside runner, didn't test out anywhere, and I think it was because he was going to test out very poorly. So if you're talking about McGowan and Katron Allen, and they're both physical power backs, strong leg drive, toughness, physicality, inside runner, but one of them's got this elite athletic profile and one of them's never tested, I'm going to pivot more to McGowan even at his age compared to Katron Allen. I think Katron Allen is a solid back. James Robinson, those years for Jacksonville, a guy who can get what's there, good vision, good power, good strength, good leg drive, break the tackles, but he's not going to offer anything beyond that. He's going to get what's there and push the pile a little bit with his toughness and his physicality. McGowan's got a little bit more to his game. I think you can more versatility as a runner. He can kick it to the outside. He can make people miss a little bit. There's more untapped athleticism there. Obviously, we saw it at the combine. So McGowan over Katron Allen for me. And then rounding this out is Jam Miller, tested out really well at the combine. Obviously, he's got the Alabama pedigree. I think he could be a guy that if he doesn't go late round 4, I think he probably goes early round 5. I think he could be a really good second back or third back on a team, functional pass catcher, but the quickness, short area burst, I like his profile as well. So Jam Miller would be a guy there that I would also feel comfortable in that late round 4 range of the NFL draft. Let's take this to the next tier, which is tier 4. These are round 5, round 6 selections in the 2026 NFL draft. These are guys that we think would be round 3, round 4 dynasty rookie picks. These are lesser parts of a committee or handcuffs, several solid traits. These players have a complementary skill set that could develop into a specialized role or a lesser part of a committee in the future and are capable of leading the backfield and maintaining the integrity of the offense if called upon due to injury. Every year we see guys go in round 5, round 6 that are productive. Tyrone Tracy a couple years ago. Every year, guys from round 5, round 6. Kyle Monunga, I think, might even been round 7 last year. It could have been round 6 or 7. We saw guys as recently as last year develop. So NFL teams find valuable running back prospects late in the draft every single year that are functional, that fit the scheme, fit the offense, and can move the pile and be an integral part of the offense. My tier 4 is made up of 7 names. Jaden Ott of Oklahoma, formerly of California. Le'Veon Moss of Texas A&M. Desmond Reed out of Pittsburgh. Jamari Taylor out of Virginia. Kalen Black and Roman Hembry out of the national champs, Indiana Hoosiers. Let's start with Jaden Ott. When he was at California, I thought this guy was ticketed for a top 50 pick in the NFL draft. He had athleticism. He had good movement skills. He had pass catching ability. I thought he reminded me a lot of Chuba Hubbard, but with more upside. When he went to Oklahoma, I thought he was going to have this monster statistical season. It hasn't really materialized. He was at the Shrine Bowl, I believe. I'm really intrigued with Jaden Ott. If it wasn't the Shrine Bowl, it was the Senior Bowl. But I'm intrigued with Jaden Ott. I think he's a guy that has some untapped upside. And if you go back to his California film, I think you're going to walk away very impressed. I almost regret not having him in my tier 4, but when you start combining in NFL draft projection, I do think he's going to go somewhere in round 5 or round 6. But I like Jaden Ott, the player. I think he could be the sleeper or surprise from the running back class if put in the right situation. Le'Veon Moss, if without the injuries, he's definitely in the tier above this as well. He's a guy who has some really interesting traits. Athleticism, speed. You can do a lot of things with Le'Veon Moss. I think when the year started, most people thought he had a chance to be a top 100 pick. His stock is dropped a little bit, but he's still a player that's intriguing. Desmond Reed out of Pittsburgh. Think Tariq Cohen. Pint-sized, undersized, but quick, athletic, change of direction, elusiveness, cutting ability, receiving weapon. Reed is a really interesting prospect. We saw Tariq Cohen, I believe, going round 4. A team is going to take Reed if he doesn't go in round 4, he's going to go in round 5. And if there's a sleeper guy who could go in round 4 that no one's thinking of at the running back position, I do think it could be Reed if you're looking for a certain type of profile, that pass catching back, weapon waiting to happen, kick return ability. Reed is that guy that offers that explosive element to an offensive backfield, and then used in a variety of ways. So Reed is a really interesting player. Jamari Taylor out of Virginia, tough, physical. This guy is just a touchdown waiting to happen. While he doesn't have this massive size, he plays like he's 225 pounds. He's going to barrel over people. He's going to pick up tough yards. He's going to be a really good, I think, short yardage and goal line runner. So Jamari Taylor is a guy who could be a third running back on a team, but have a specialized role, and I think could be a part of an offense and help out in a variety of ways. And then the 2 Indiana guys, we saw them in tandem this year, help Fernando Mendoza and that Indiana offense win the national championship. Nothing stands out about them in terms of sexy or flashy, but I just think they get the job done. They just are solid at most aspects in terms of vision, patience, toughness, physicality. So if you need them to be your third running back, but they got to step up and be a starter because injuries, stuff like that, they can handle those duties. I like them as 5th, 6th round picks. I think they're guys that could easily be your third running back on your roster and add value to your team and could step up when needed. I think both of those guys will have a role at the next level. Next up, tier 5. These are our late round picks, so round 7 picks or priority free agents in the 2026 NFL draft. In terms of your dynasty rookie drafts, these are late round guys or stash players or watch list players. They are depth or practice squads. Some solid trades can stabilize the backfield in the case of an emergency, but are not long-term solutions. May also include players with limited exposures to make a full, true determination. Who makes up our tier 5? Noah Whittington out of Oregon, Rashul Fajian out of South Carolina, Terrion Stewart out of Virginia Tech, Kajon Owens out of Florida International, Robert Henry out of UTSA, Dean Connors out of Houston, and CJ Donaldson out of Ohio State. Those would be the prospects in this tier that I think 1 or 2 might sneak in the 7 rounds in round 7, but I think most of these guys are probably going to be undrafted free agents. But right now, this is kind of where I have them. If you're wondering where the Navy running back is, I'm going to put him in the receiver batch because I think he's going to be more receiver gadget player than true running back. So if you're looking for Eli Heinrich, he's going to be in the wide receiver tiers when I get to that show down the line. But in terms of here, I think Fajian out of South Carolina, good size and frame, athleticism and speed and movement skills are just average, but he's got good short area quickness and burst, good contact balance, play strength, leg drive and finishing ability. He's got good footwork with the ability to one cut and go. Not going to do much in terms of the short area stuff, change of direction, stuff like that. Not much of a receiver. So you're looking at more of an inside runner late in the draft, could add some depth to a backfield. So I think he is one of the guys who I would say could get drafted. Whittington is the other one out of Oregon, slightly undersized running back, but good athleticism, burst and movement skills, good footwork with jump cut ability, good contact balance and leg drive. I like the pad level he runs with and plays with good leverage, shows vision and patience. He's best in an inside gap run scheme as well. So those would be the 2 guys that I think from that tier have a chance to get drafted. I think the rest of those guys probably end up being undrafted free agents or priority free agents, whatever you want to call them. So there it is, guys, my running back tiers. If you were following along, here's my rankings kind of within the tiers. Jeremiah Love was number 1. Jadarian Price was my number 2 running back. Mike Washington was number 3. Emmett Johnson was 4. Jonah Coleman was 5. Nicholas Singleton was 6. Damon Claiborne was 7. Adam Randall was 8. Seth McGowan 9. Katron Allen 10, Jam Miller 11, Jaden Ott 12, Le'Veon Moss 13, Desmond Reed 14, Jamari Taylor 15, Kalen Black 16, Roman Hemby 17, and then following that out, Noah Whittington at Oregon is 18, Rashul Fajian at South Carolina 19, and I'm going to stop Terrion Stewart at 20. I do not think we're going to have more than 15 to 17 running backs selected in this draft. I just don't think we're going to even hit 20 this year. I think a couple of these guys, teams are just going to say, you know what, these guys are all pretty similar. I'll get them as a UDFA. So I think we're probably going to get like 17 or 18 max at the running back position, which will probably be one of the lowest that's ever been selected in the 2026 NFL draft. Next up, if there's going to be any tier busters, guys who can bust up into another tier, let's start with the first one. Obviously, from that second tier, if one guy was to jump up and to go round one, I think it is going to be Jadarian Price. There's been some buzz. I think it was Daniel Jeremiah said it first that there's some potential for Jadarian Price to go late round one, maybe to the Seahawks. I think round one is too high for him. I think about some of the premier running backs that have went early second round. We've seen so many guys at the next level go early second round. Most recently, Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, guys like that go to top of the second round. If you go before that, Jonathan Taylor. I don't think Jadarian Price is on that level. So I do not think he should go top of the second round. I don't think he should go late round one. I think he should go a little bit later, mid round two to early round three. But if he had a full body of work, I think it's possible we would think a little bit more of him. So if there was anybody who was going to jump from tier two to tier one, it would be Jadarian Price. From the third tier, who could be a tier jumper? Two names I'll give you. Emmett Johnson at Nebraska. If he tested out better at the combine, I think there was a possibility he would have definitely been a top 100 pick. I still think he could be, but I don't know if he has a shot to be that middle of round three or early round three prospect where I thought he could. And then the other one potential tier jumper that maybe he can sneak into the top 75, which would make him more of that tier two guy, would be Jonah Coleman out of Washington. So those would be the two potential tier jumpers from tier three into tier two. We talked about Johnson and Coleman at length before. Tier four, if anybody was going to jump from tier four, I kind of mentioned the name before, Desmond Reed out of Pittsburgh. He offers this unique skill set, Tariq Cohen style, big playability that a team can look at the versatility and the big play waiting to happen and say, we're going to find a way to get this guy 8 to 10 touches, and he's going to add this explosive element. So I think he could be a tier jumper and be a surprise top 4 round pick. Jaden Ott would be the other one if people really hone in on what he was at California. But I think Reed is the one that if you were going to see a surprise guy be a jumper and go higher than expected, Reed would be that guy. And then from the last tier, I'll go Noah Winnington out of Oregon. I think if he goes round 5, round 6, I would not be that surprised. So he could be the potential tier jumper there from tier 5 to tier 4. So there it is, guys. My 2026 NFL Draft running back rankings and tiers. If you're enjoying this content, please get over to the website, SS Football. Fastest and easiest way to get there. For $9.99, you get all of our premium content, scouting notebook, rankings notebook with so many different rankings, these tiers. Every update I make is in the rankings notebook. And then also, we're about 2 weeks away, week and a half, 2 weeks away from the release of the draft projections notebook. Tabs for every single position, offense and defense, with their combine testing numbers, ranked in the order in which I expect them to come off the board from all of the experts that are out there. We've had remarkable success projecting the NFL draft. We have a tab for projecting the 32 picks in round 1, a tab projecting the top 100, and then another tab projecting all 256 picks in rounds 1 through 7. We've had remarkable success. We've done really well in the Huddle Top 100 contest. If there was a contest ranking projecting every player to go in the NFL draft, I would guarantee you we'd be at the top of those rankings with the success we've had over the years here at Saturday to Sunday. You get it all for $9.99. It is the best way to support the show. If you bought it in the past, please consider purchasing it again. If you've been a longtime listener but never purchased it, please consider helping us out. It is the lifeblood of what we do. It is the only way we can continue to even do what we do. Every dollar goes into server fees, subscription fees, and everything we need to just stay afloat. So please consider, if you've been a longtime listener, if you're new to Saturday, Sunday, we hope you consider purchasing it. I said it on the last show. There are so many great resources out there. The Matt Waldman RSP is coming out within the next few days. Make sure you're buying it. Dane Brugler of The Athletic, The Beast is coming out. Make sure you get that. So many other great content out there. But if you could help us out, $9.99. We tie in the fantasy spin of it as well. So we hope that you can consider helping us out as well and purchasing another one from all the great NFL draft stuff that is out there. So on behalf of my sound tech engineer, David Nakano, and myself, thank you for joining us. And we look forward next time taking you from Saturday to Sunday.